In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the timing cover on a 1973 Datsun 240Z.
Okay, so first thing you're going to want to do is pull the upper and lower radiator hoses off. Okay, we got our upper hose here. Here we're working on the lower radiator hose.
There's the lower hose. These are just going to be some 17mm compression fittings. There's one.
This is an automatic transmission vehicle, so this car has transmission cooler inside the radiator. So that's what I'm disconnecting. Now I'm removing the radiator here.
Make sure you drain your radiator. Ever so carefully. Next, we're going to tackle this clutch fan. 2 washers, caught them. Nice. Okay, then I got one nut. And I got one more, I believe, that hit the floor. There it is. So that's what it looks like. It's gonna have a keyway right here.
Okay, so here we're taking the oil pump off. Got 4 bolts on the oil pump. They're all 12mm bolts. I sprayed blast spray on this. Here we got to remove the sway bar out of the way to actually drop the oil pump down to get the bolt out of the way fully. So here's the sway bar removed and the oil pump removed. Here I'm pulling the oil pump distributor drive shaft. So that is the distributor oil pump drive shaft. Here is the water pump removal. Those are the bolts coming out of the water pump, and that's the lower oil pan going into the timing cover bolts. These are just some timing cover bolts coming off. Here we're removing the alternator pivot arm. Get that out of the way, and the lower radiator hose outlet for the... Okay, so we're pulling the timing cover off here. We got all the bolts off, and it's still glued on pretty good, so we got to pull on it pretty good to get it to break free, and it makes a big mess. So we want to make sure we've got a drain pan underneath to catch all that coolant coming out. This thing's filthy. Okay, so here's up close. You can see this car's got pretty good mileage on it. I'd probably say about 50 to 100,000 miles. You see some oil sludge built up. This car's a show car, so it doesn't get a lot of heat cycle. Kind of just fires it up and pulls it outside and shuts it off, so a lot of sludge will build up on it. Here we're zooming in. Want to make sure the oil pan gasket there is still intact. Looks like it's okay. We're going to reuse that. Okay, so here's the new timing cover, the replacement timing cover. You can see the old one there on the right. Here I'm cleaning all the threads, running a tap through each and every one of these threads because this timing cover is full of little RTV and dirt, grime. You want to be careful with these taps. Make sure you're not cutting new threads, just cleaning the threads. So I go through every single bolt on the water pump, on the outlet fittings, on the oil pump. Every bolt and thread is getting cleaned here. Okay, so we're going to take, this is just a cheap machinist set of drill bits. Pretty accurate diameter size, and we're just going to find the one that fits the tightest and hand clean chase all these holes that are not threaded that pass through the timing cover into the block. Make sure everything gets cleaned out real good and get all that RTV silicone out of those holes. And I'm using a drill here to speed up the process, but I'm not putting any lateral force on this drill. I'm being very nice to it. This is the bottom of the timing cover where the oil pan meets. So where my hand is, my left hand, that's where the front main seal goes. So we're just cleaning these out, running carb cleaner through them, running our tap on our drill. And the way I have it chucked into the drill, I use the drill chuck very lightly on the outside diameter of the tap. I don't chuck my tap into the drill with the square, only with the round, very lightly. Okay, so this bolt that I have here is a homemade thread chaser. It's got a line cut into it for relief for thread cleaning. So I'm just running it in and out, cleaning these threads out. I didn't want to run a tap through. The tap I had was slightly too sharp in it. I was afraid it was going to remove material. So this is working perfect. You see how all that dirt coming out. Again, same here with the water outlet for the lower radiator hose. A little bit of carb cleaner cleans them right out. Really want to make sure we keep our surfaces clean, keep our part clean. Everything we're working on, we want to keep clean. We got a pretty good chip here in our oil pump surface, and we're going to go over all of our surfaces here with our flat file. But we're going to take some time here and focus on this. A little bit of it looks like maybe the motor got set down on something. A little bit of gouge there, but a little flat file time and some patience definitely is going to clean that up. Already got it looking pretty good there. Here now I'm running a 45 chamfer, kind of just around the edge of everything, just to clean up any burrs. Not really digging on anything here, just soft cleanup. We're not trying to dig, we're just trying to make it flat so that our gaskets are going to seal. Same thing on our bottom surface where the oil pan's going to meet. We're going to flatten that and chamfer our edges a little bit. And I'm going to do this on every surface of this timing cover. I'm going to do this on this. This is our distributor coolant in port for the water pump right here. Again, chamfer the edges there, a little 45 just to clean off any burrs. This is the head surface right here. And this is the block surface where the timing cover fits. Again, just a light, flat file here. Want to get rid of any built-up silicone, any gasket, and any gouges. These are some old cars and old parts, and they've been on and off before, so a lot of times screwdriver gouges can really mess up the sealing surface of your covers. So we're going over and making sure that everything's perfectly flat. Okay, here we've got a side-by-side view. That's the original timing cover I pulled off of the 73 240Z. Pretty filthy. It was leaking pretty good. It had a broken stud on the water pump. So the water pump was leaking and the main seal was leaking pretty good. I think it was an original main seal. So here's a nice new cover, very clean, very good looking front cover. Everything's brand new looking on it. All our surfaces are flat, ready for gaskets, ready for seals, and ready to go on the car. This is the distributor pickup mount. Clean that up as well. And here is the brand new water pump that we got for this job.
Okay, so what we have here is the timing cover that came off the 240Z. Unfortunately, when we were trying to remove the water pump, the bolt snapped inside and we could not get it out. So, timing cover is being swapped. This timing cover is from a 280Z. As far as I can tell, everything is identical on these timing covers. Okay, so we still have our oil ports, still have our coolant ports, still have our distributor drive. It's the same. Okay. The way the oil pan bolts to the bottom, oil pickup, oil pump mounting location, it's all identical. These motors are all identical, just the displacement changed over the years. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of this because it's dirty.
For like at least for the next
We don't want it.
5 minutes.
This is, we don't want that pump. We want this pump.
Minute. Just stop.
Okay, need a bit of a rag.
That's all.
Really want to stay clean doing this. It's all, I did a really good job cleaning this cover, so I want to make sure we keep it nice. I was gonna paint it, but I don't think it's worth painting. I think it looks good. Okay, so we got a gasket kit. Gasket kit, I think I paid $12, whopping $12 for this entire timing cover gasket set from O'Reilly's. This is part number TCS 27155. This is a part number for a 73 240Z. However, I guarantee this is going to fit from 70 to 73. Sorry, 70 to 83. 240Z all the way to 280ZX. Even the turbo models. The turbo models you might have a. Now, even the oil pump is the pump flange is the same. The pumps are different. So even all the way up to the 280ZX turbo motors, identical. I would go on a whim and say the front timing covers are even the same for Datsun 4-cylinder L engines, the L20 and the L16s. I would say, I wouldn't quote me on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were the same. So, got a nice seal. It's actually a national seal. I'm surprised. I thought, yeah, this is a Felpro kit. National seal, that's okay, that's cool. I think that's better than Felpro. We've got water pump, gasket, yeah, I had it right the first time, okay. I think we've got a couple outlet gaskets. Oh, they give us two. What are they? Oh, interesting. So, like I was just saying how they're all identical, it looks like I could have been off. Let's see, what do we got here? So we've got, oh, I wonder if this is, I wonder what that's for. That's for a model that utilizes that. Maybe the L28 diesel. Maybe they all use the same part number. So this is going to be the same Johnny. It's going to go on like this, and it's going to have one bolt extra. We don't want that. Wouldn't matter, just cut it. I got an extra set. Keep those. Okay, we're gonna glue these bad boys down with a little thin layer of glue. I think I'm gonna put my seal in first. Okay, I like to glue the seals in too. Half tempted to. I'll do a little bit. I glued the last one and it was a pain in the ass to remove, but I tell you, it did not leak. Okay, a little bit of here, a little bit there. I'm gonna rub this on the inside. Okay, so I've put some juice on my seal, some glue. Wanted to glue my seal in just to be sure that it seals good. So now I got this guy. I could just put the national logo facing up, but it doesn't really matter.
Okay, so we're pressing the front main seal in here. It was kind of being real difficult for me, but after holding it down in place for a while, letting the glue set, I was able to get it. Cleaning up all my edges here. Got a rag, make sure clean up all the excess RTV silicone. We don't want to make a big mess on our beautiful timing cover that we spent all the time cleaning.
So we're gonna put extra in our valley.
Okay, so I'm doing a real thin layer of black Toyota RTV silicone. Real good stuff. Thin layer, just like I'm painting it on. We just want the gasket to stick. And I'm going to do a thin painted on layer on top of the gasket. So it's going to go RTV, gasket, RTV. Kind of like a sandwich. Real thin though, because if we do too much, it's going to ooze out all everywhere. We just do very thin layer. We're going to clean out inside all the holes, make sure that none of our screws are getting affected. And then this left side was slightly askew, so I used some bolts out of a spare bolt pin just to hold that gasket down while it glued. When I did something for a couple minutes on the meantime while that sat. Cleaning up our edges here.
I think we're good to go.
There's our second layer of black silicone on top.
So this is gonna be a little fun. Just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. New timing cover. Good timing. Okay. There we go. It's a little difficult. It's just being a bit of a pain. That's why we made sure to put a little bit of excess RTV. We saw this being an issue. There it is. Oh, baby. Yeah, I'm gonna inspect it very closely before I fully seat it. You may not be able to see any of this on the camera. Gasket is perfect. Gasket is not misaligned. That's good, at least on the passenger side. Let's see for the driver's side. Driver's side, the gasket is perfect. Okay. The oil pan gasket, I can see it. It did not fold. That is good. So we slid right in. That is very good. On newer cars, this is a very difficult task. Tolerances are a lot tighter. Okay, so we should be able to find the peg down here to line it up on and get it in. Okay. Felt it seat on the driver's side, and there it is on the passenger side, and there it is on the top. Okay. We're gonna let that sit. In the meantime, I am going to clean the timing cover bolts, which I believe are right here. Okay. Sure.
So here I am cleaning all the timing cover bolts on my bench grinder. That's a wire wheel up there on the left. Just I think it's a stainless steel brush. This is the oil pump for the 240Z. Now again, I'm going to very thin paint the RTV onto this gasket so that it glues itself, sticks to the unit, and does not ooze out. You can see just barely any wipes off my finger. Again, I'm gonna paint the other side of the surface. We're going to let this sit for a minute and let the glue tack up before we fully install Make sure we keep ourselves clean, and we're cleaning inside these holes where the bolts go through, and we're cleaning in the oil pressure ports as well.
Okay, so we're just about ready to put our oil pump on. Got the oil pump drive shaft or distributor drive shaft cleaned up and ready to go in the car. I'm gonna grab a Sharpie right now. What I've got going on here is I have put the crank pulley on, double check that, and I put my indicator on, double check that the motor is at top dead center. You can then even rotate the motor 2 times and make sure to line it up to your 0 mark on your crank pulley. And we're going to be lined up top dead center when we put our distributor drive shaft and pump in, because that's going to line up where our distributor goes. Okay, now what we're going to do in order to figure out how to line it up, you don't need no factory service manual or internet forum write-up. What you're going to do is you're going to take your distributor and you're going to stab her back in. Okay, we are going to find our number 1 plug wire. Okay, and on this particular device it looks like our number 1 is right here, farthest forward facing. I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm going to mark it. Okay, here's my number 1, and look, there's even a dial printed on this cap. Looks like we've got a number 1 indicator. I'm going to come down here and put a mark right there. I'm going to take this rotor off. Okay, we want to make sure, yep, our rotor is going to be about right there. I'm not going to riveted that on, okay. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to grab our pump. Oh, and I need to clean the bolts for the pump too. That's very important. We can get to that in a second. Actually, we'll do that right now. Whew, good enough. So, now, what we are going to be doing is we made sure that our distributor line was pretty centered on where we wanted our rotor to be. So for the most part, we're going to have zeroed out timing on our rotor. Okay, I'm going to pull this back out and I'm going to look at kind of the orientation of where it is. So it looks like it's an up and down orientation for the most part. I know it's up and down, and I think it's either slightly back or slightly forward. I don't quite remember off the top of my head, but see, we're gonna put this back to our 0 mark. We're gonna stab our distributor shaft in until it seems to seat properly. You'll see what I mean. It's pretty easy to do. Now, there's a ring right here, like a loop right here. You need to slide it in, and it slides in right here, draws into your distributor, and then your oil pump gears into it as well. So we want like a, oh, and then which way is the orientation? Don't quite remember. Okay, so we're gonna roughly be this orientation. So I'm gonna pull this out, drop this guy in, zero it out, stab her in. Just gotta find that hole. There it is. Okay, now watch. Once I get it up in there, you'll see I can start moving to the distributor and finding that.
Okay, so there's a gear behind the timing cover on the snout of the crankshaft that drive shaft's going to spline onto. And as it splines onto, it's going to kind of rotate slightly on you. Makes it a little difficult to install.
Is that it? That's very close. Okay. Okay, so I got the water pump flange glued, very thin layer. That's ready to go.
I lost the footage, but after I got the drive shaft for the distributor installed, I lined up the oil pump and just reinstalled the oil pump with 4 bolts, tightening it lightly until fully seated and then fully tightening. Here I'm installing the water pump. Make sure you're going a crosshatch pattern on your water pump, just like you would on a wheel. Cleaning up all our surfaces, cleaning away any excess RTV silicone before it's too late and dries. So here I really sped up what's going on here. We're just reassembling the motor now. Here's going on the fan. Okay, we got the alternator going on and the alternator brace. We got the thermostat lower radiator hose housing going on right here. Radiator's going in now. Just a real quick reassembly, reverse of what we did to disassemble. Okay, got our lower radiator hose going on.
I think the car can come down. I need to make a couple notes on the suspension, and then I can bring the car down, put it outside. Hopefully we got enough daylight for a car wash and a buff. It's 4:41, 5 o'clock. 6, 7, yeah, I think we got enough time. So there it is. So there it is, it's all completed. Front end is put back on, the radiator's on, hoses are in. I have not filled this system up. I'm gonna let this car sit. I'm not gonna start this car. I'm gonna drain the oil, do an oil change on it, and I'm going to let the glue dry before I can fill it up. I'll fill it up tomorrow and it'll be good. Then I'll test it. Okay, so we got the car assembled. We're out here cruising, going about 65 miles an hour. Make sure everything's working good. We got good temperatures, good oil pressure. Okay, so it seems like everything's working real good. That's a successful timing cover replacement.